Okay, how's it going? Smoking Gorilla Lounge reboot, and what have you brought for us today?
This is the Warped Moon Garden, and we were just talking as we were figuring out how to hold up the box and trying to figure out what end of this nice Japanese watercolor illustration that's on the cover is up. And I think that's
I don't know.
just one of the things with abstract art. I mean, there have been situations where something will be like hanging in a gallery for 10 years upside down, and finally the artist will come in and go, that's actually upside down. But the back of the box, which has this really nice label of Moon Garden 2018 by Kyle Gellis, lines up with that. So I think we're going to go with that is the correct way to line this up.
Sounds good to me.
Sound good to you?
Yes.
Cool box, 10-count box.
Yes. Yeah, so the close-up on the box was, we only had a couple in there. There's only a couple left. Paul's been smoking the heck out of them.
Yeah, smoking and loaning out as well.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing these today. Really appreciate it. And so, talk a little bit more. Looks like a Lancero to me.
Sure is. Well, it's 7x40 Lancero, so not true Lancero. It's a little bit girthier.
Mm-hmm.
True Lancero would be a 38, and sometimes a 7.5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we call this a New World Lancero, to use your nomenclature. And it's real pretty. I mean, besides the box, if you look real closely at the label, it's got kind of this jade on black filigree. It's got a yellow KG for Kyle Gellis right in the center. And then some interesting other colors, like this sort of a lipstick pink going on in there, and yellow, and even some brown, some brownish reds. So pretty cool presentation.
Yeah, yeah.
A nice full pack, like it isn't mushy whatsoever.
And I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because I've been admiring the wrapper on this cigar.
Yeah.
It's got kind of like a Colorado wrapper, but it's a bit modeled.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit of a modeling in there.
Yeah, I got a couple spots on mine, but good looking wrapper.
It is a little bit lumpy.
Mm-hmm.
There's some lumps in there. You can see the seams in there and so on and so forth. But yeah, it just feels like it's a well-constructed cigar. I mean, and the thing is if I was smoking a Cuban like this, I'd be a little scared because of the heavy pack in there. You know what I mean?
Would you think it would be possibly plugged?
Yes, possibly a really tight smoke, but I don't know. That's another thing. New World or non-Cuban to Cuban.
Very little worry about plug cigars
No.
with non-Cubans. I mean, the quality control is super high.
Yeah. So.
These made at the TABSA factory down in Esteli.
Okay.
And we're talking about, as far as the run goes, we're talking 650, I believe, 10-count boxes, so 6,500 total cigars. It was a tough get for me.
Okay.
I got these in mail order through Fox Cigar Bar in Scottsdale.
Okay.
Who, by the way, if you've never had a chance to order from them, terrific people. He threw in a bunch of cool cigars when I bought the box. I also bought my box of Warped GR88 from him around the same time. So I don't know whether he kind of knew that I was becoming a regular customer or what, but he treated us real well. It's Rob at Fox Cigar Bar.
Okay.
And the leaf, I believe, is entirely Aganorsa leaf.
Okay.
Formerly Casa Fernandez, now called Aganorsa leaf. So we're talking there Corojo 98 and Criollo 98 and Corojo 99.
Yes. Yes.
Corojo 99 being the wrapper, and then the filler as well. And I believe, did we talk about Medio Tiempo maybe being in here too?
That's what you were mentioning.
Unconfirmed, maybe?
Unconfirmed, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because on the New World stuff, or non-Cuban stuff, I always defer to you because you are more knowledgeable on that stuff than I am, and when it comes to this stuff. So I'm going to defer to you. But we were talking about that. You would mention the fact that there's some Medio Tiempo in there.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with Medio Tiempo, what that means is sometimes they call it Corona, which is the very top of the tobacco plant, and that is the most flavorful, strongest leaf on the tobacco plant.
And doesn't appear on all tobacco plants.
Yes, yes.
Right, they're kind of a smaller leaf, and sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Yeah,
So
hence the rarity.
Rarity and a little extra pop in the flavor, in the Ligero type flavor.
Yes, definitely on that thing too. So if you don't know about a tobacco plant, what they do is you have your tobacco plant that goes up like this, and then they pick off the leaves at the bottom, which are the Velato, then you have your Seco, and then you have your Ligero, and then your Corona. That's basically the Cuban definition. If you look up a non-Cuban definition, they have a bunch of, like Medio Seco, there's a bunch of different ones that they do, like 10 different leaves on the non-Cuban side of it though. But basically, so the Medio Tempo or the Corona leaf is at the very top. Sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't, and that's the rumor of this cigar. So,
And they'll harvest them at different times, right? They start at the bottom,
Yeah.
they'll do a picking or a priming, and then maybe a few days later go to the middle and
Yeah.
go upward.
exactly. So, so what ended up happening on that too is the fact that as they're pulling these leaves off like this, the nutrients and everything that's going up through the stalk into the leaves is getting more and more heavy concentration of all of those nutrients and everything going to the leaves as these are going down. Kind of like when you do roses, right? When you do a rose plant, you have all the ones, and then what you do is you pluck off all the other roses, and then you get one at the top that's like the most beautiful rose. So
the Medio Tempo, the most beautiful rose of the tobacco plant.
there you go. Hence the very beautiful kind of rosish kind of a thing going on there. In the
Although,
middle.
also on the tobacco plants, they cut the flowers off, right? So that none of the good stuff is wasted on stuff that's not going to go into the actual cigar.
Yes. Yeah, and then unless they're going to I guess they let some go to seed with that, and then
Yeah, they must.
They
Or else
reharvest.
you're going to get your seeds.
Yes.
So yeah, a fairly rare cigar, sought after. You can't buy them anymore on the primary market. You can probably find them somewhere on the secondary market, but they evaporated real quick after this cigar was announced. It came out partly because warped, super culty cigar, very
Yes.
limited cigar, only 6,500 individual sticks made, and also it's a Lancero, and people who love Lanceros just gobbled them up, I think.
Yeah.
guess.
More of a connoisseur, I guess that, I mean, I don't want to tab anything, but people have mentioned this as being more of a connoisseur size, as opposed to like the other Vitolas being bigger or whatever, girthier and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
And Aganorsa leaf, by the way, one of my favorite non-Cuban farms, I guess you would say, or companies that actually are growing their own leaf. They sell their leaves to other companies, obviously including the Warp. They also have their own lines. They have a really cool cigar that came out, I think a couple of years ago now, called Aganorsa Leaf Signature. I think it was the first cigar they put out after they changed their name from Casa Fernandez to Aganorsa Leaf. And just their leaves just have a great quality, whether there's Medio Tempo in them or not. I get that kind of creamy taste to them a lot of times that I don't find in a lot of Nicaraguan tobacco. So we'll see whether that's here.
Okay.
Should we cut it?
Yeah. Give it a cut, give it a light.
We're both using a straight cut here. I'm using a Cigar. Good draw. Just a
Yeah.
little snug, but just kind of like a Cuban draw.
Yeah, just it's a really good draw.
That's
though.
great.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Now I'm gonna use my Tiger lighter. I don't know who makes Tiger, but
That seems kind of appropriate. Sounds like it might be a Chinese light.
yeah. But I like the single flame,
I'm going
especially.
back to the ST DuPont again. What is this called? Slim 7.
Do you have to get the special fluid for that too? Do you have to use their colored?
I just use whatever.
Okay.
I'm sure they want you to use their, $25 a can
Right.
special fluid for this, but I just use it in butane. I think this is Zycar butane I'm using.
Good enough.
I love this lighter, by the way, because even though it has a really small, because it's so thin, there's a really small reservoir, it actually fits perfectly in the change pocket in a pair of jeans. And it just
Right.
sits right up there so it doesn't jangle around with your keys or change or whatever, and you can keep it looking nice.
Yeah.
Tell me your first puff impressions. Now, we've each smoked this cigar before, so this is not a first
Yeah.
smoking review of these.
I'm getting that pop of pepper in my nose right now. Definitely. Kind of a little bit on the savory side there too with this thing right out the gate.
I agree with you there.
And not like as far as on the palate, there being anything there yet. Really not. It's kind of a
It's dry.
yeah, it's a bit dry, but the finish, I mean, it seems like it's a bit long though too on this thing. But I mean, according to our description and everything like that, and what we've been able to garner, I mean, I would imagine the finish is going to be quite long on this cigar, just due to the strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely getting a little burn in the nose from the pepper.
Yeah.
But not unpleasant.
No.
It's just not super duper smooth.
No, it's not like well, we did the Crown Heads La Carême, and that was right out the gate. Wasn't like this one. This
Right.
one, a little bit more girth to it.
And I think we smoked them in the right order.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Usually, if you're going to smoke more than one cigar, you usually want to smoke from light to heavy. If you want to use those descriptors, I know some cigar makers don't prefer people to use that, but you know, a little more light body to a little more full body.
yes, definitely. So yeah, I think we're gonna be in for a treat here on this cigar. So anyway, we're gonna smoke this down a little bit, and we will be back with some tasting notes. Okay, so here we are. We're back a little bit, and anyway.
Just starting to dig in a little bit in the first half inch or so, and we're kind of in agreement that we're tasting more of an herbaceous, but on the drier side smoke.
Yep.
Real good smoke production.
Yeah.
We're both in love with the construction of the cigar. It is just
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
TABSA doing good work.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit of a leatheriness in the retro as well. Some leather in there.
Yeah, that came off of the cold draw as well.
Yes. And yeah, so it started out pretty good, like you said, with that heavy smoke production. And so yeah, like a little bit more of a, I guess, let's talk a little bit about these cigars, because they're definitely one of the darlings, I would think now, of the New World non-Cuban genre.
Yeah, especially in the cigar nerd segment of
Yeah.
the cigar smoking population.
Yeah.
And you know, when you throw a high-end limited Lancero out there, it's not a surprise, right? It's exactly what people go for. Do you remember the first warped cigar you smoked?
Oh, probably the Black Honey.
The new Black Honey or
The
old?
new Black Honey. Yeah, I never got into the older stuff, the warped. I'm rather new to the warped stuff
Oh,
because of you, actually.
Yeah.
Talking about it and you really appreciating what Kyle's done with this line of cigars. So I started like venturing out. Actually, it wasn't the Black Honey. It was the Guardian of the Farm
Oh yeah.
with the one band, not the two-banded one.
Another Aganorsa Leaf co-production.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's kind of where my thing is now. I think you have a little bit more exposure than I do.
I started following and smoking warped again back in the BOTL days, probably 2014, 2015. I believe that's about when Kyle had started, to my understanding, Kyle Gellis, the founder of Warped, had started the cigar line when he was in college, and then kind of got away from it for a little while, and then went back in heavy around 2014, 2015. And I remember going to IPCPR the year that he introduced the Maestro del Tiempo. He introduced a few different lines that year. That was sort of maybe the biggest splash, I think, of those. It was also the year they introduced the Futuro, which I'm sure you've smoked because they have that at Cigar Warehouse as well. Apparently just within about a 1 year period, it went from being sort of a fringy, some people knew about warp, some people had smoked it, but most people hadn't, to the it girl of the moment. Super culty, tons of chatter on Reddit, tons of chatter on BOTL, and just all the cigar nerds just started going crazy for him. And it was great timing. Kyle told me that at IPCPR the first year, they had a really quiet booth, and you know, a few people would come by and they had a few orders and they did okay, and then they concentrated on, you know, social media and the forums and a lot of word of mouth over the following year. And the following year they went back to IPCPR, and in a day or two sold out of their everything that they had to sell.
Wow.
So it just became something that clearly people were coming into the retailers and asking, do you have warped? I know for my part, the V-Cut smoke shop on Melrose, where I smoke most of the time, it took them a couple years to get warped in there, and now I think the cigar's doing really well. They carry the Porto and the Don Ronaldo, and they've had the La Colmena line in there as well. And I'm hoping for a few more of these to come in now that the account there has kind of matured and aged, and they're selling through a lot of stuff to be able to buy some of this level of warp stick there.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to be an extension of the Flor del Valle line, which is one of the higher end lines, I guess you could say, for warped. I think these were $150 for a 10-count box, so $15 a piece retail. I don't know what they're going for on the secondary market, but quite a bit higher than that.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can find them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, shout out to the V-Cut too on Melrose.
Oh yeah, my favorite place to smoke in the world.
So you sit at the V-Cut and you can watch the whole world go by because they have like a comedy lounge there, and on top of that it's Melrose Avenue. In LA, I don't know if you haven't been to LA, Melrose is kind of like this
shopping mecca.
Yeah, it's like a shopping mecca, and then they have like little places to eat all over the place and places to shop. And then right next door, there's a comedy club. What's the name of the comedy club?
Oh, it's a little comedy club you might have heard of called the Improv.
The Improv. Okay, so
what's the name of it? It's the Improv.
I go there and I never know what the freaking name of the club is. I just know there's a comedy club next door. So you get there's various people that work the club, like that are actually the talent, and will walk into the V-Cup and grab a cigar before doing their act.
Yeah, there's a few regulars and occasional cigar smokers that come in there. And you know, being on Melrose and being in Hollywood, there's the occasional other kind of celebrity as well, actors mostly, and a few sports stars. I know Carmelo Anthony was spotted in there one time when he was shopping around his services after Denver, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a really nice place to grab a cigar, and they have some beverages in the some non-adult beverages in there just to drink along with your cigar, and it's not that big of a lounge. The seating can be a little bit tight.
If it's like a big game day, yeah, you're gonna want to get in there and get your spot. But they have so many seating areas, and it's also totally casual. It's a completely public lounge. They have an indoor area. They have a nice patio right on Melrose as well outside.
Yes.
So.
And we've sat there a few nights, some various events. We were at a Caldwell event together one night there, and it was very packed inside, and it was a nice night. It was actually a winter night, but it was really nice outside. We were able to sit outside on the patio there.
That's California, dude.
Yeah. And who did we talk to? We talked to Matt Booth.
Oh, that's right. Matt Booth was there.
Yeah.
And Robert was there that night too,
Caldwell,
right?
yeah, and Jeremy was there. Didn't get a chance to talk to Robert Caldwell too much, but Matt Booth stood out there on the sidewalk, and we chatted with him for...
Oh yeah, we picked his brain for a while.
Yeah.
Which he was totally fine with.
Yeah, he was.
Very easy to talk to.
He's a great guy. I mean, he's just very personable and gregarious, outgoing.
And sarcastic.
Yes. Yeah.
Which we appreciate.
Yeah, we appreciate that humor quite a bit. And there's a interview because I mentioned that interview where I forget who the guy was that was giving the interview, but Robert Caldwell was on one side and Matt Booth was on the other, and they were just heckling this guy in the middle, and it was just hilarious. I can't remember where that was. I think it was at IPCPR, but it was, very entertaining, to say the least. So, but...
have you had a chance to talk to Kyle Gellis before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's too bad. Real nice guy. And in fact, his whole team is great. They've got a relatively small, close kind of family-style team, it feels like, that works for Warped. Actually, I kind of want to talk to him sometime about the marketing and about how, his bands are really cool and the boxes are cool and the releases are cool. We should talk about the drop a little bit, even though we're not smoking a cigar from the drop. So Warped recently, this year in 2019, started a direct-to-consumer limited cigar club, I guess you could say, although you're not really buying a membership, it's just whether you buy it that month or not. And they've had two so far. The first one was called A Dragon's Wish, and that was a bundled cigar. I think they're all maybe bundled cigars. And then the second one what was it called? The Absurd, I think. Just dropped, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah, and then you said that if people got in quickly, they got another drop on top of that drop, which
Right.
is the Absurd 1.5.
The second one, it was something like that. I forget the exact name of it, but it was a related blend to the Absurd, but a much smaller production even. And so you had the opportunity on the second go-round to get 2 different cigars.
Yeah, so
So maybe we'll get to smoke one of those in a future thing, because I've
Sure.
heard real good things about the Absurd.
yes, yeah, and we've smoked the Dragon's Wish. We've smoked that. A lot of people have smoked it, and I mean, for me on that one, I just think that that cigar needs to be aged. I think that that was produced to age, so to speak, as opposed to, I guess, the Absurd. You've heard some chatter about the Absurd being very ready to smoke and very smokable and a very nice cigar now.
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to actually smoke the one that I was fortunately given, and really looking forward to it. But yeah, I think we had similar thoughts on maybe putting the Dragon's Wish down for a little while, seeing where it is in 6 months or maybe even a year.
Yeah, and I think possibly, I mean, the aging potential on those cigars, personally, I think they can go much beyond that. I really do think that, and I just think, just after smoking it, just that's my take on it. But you know, I'm just a knucklehead on the internet with an opinion, along with all the other knuckleheads out there. So
Well, but your opinion on aging cigars is pretty well established, I think, because on the Cuban side especially, you smoke a lot of really well-aged cigars, decades. And we also know that on the non-Cuban side, most cigars that are distributed are made to be smoked. Maybe you put them down for a couple weeks or a month from the time they get shipped, because there can be some shock. You never know what happens to a cigar between the time it leaves the factory and arrives on the shelf somewhere.
yeah,
It's getting heated up in a truck or dehydrated on an airplane. And you want to always give cigars a chance in your own humidor, preferably, to kind of acclimate to where you like it, whether it's 70 degrees, 70% humidity, or maybe a little lower humidity than that, before you smoke it, just to give it a fair shake.
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
But non-Cubans, generally speaking, are made to be smoked. Like by the time the manufacturer releases them, they think that they're ready to go. You don't really think about aging non-Cuban cigars except perhaps like an Opus.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about, you were chatting about these, this brand of cigar, and you were talking about how, like, you have actually talked with manufacturers, because you attend IBCPR on a regular basis, how they will set stuff aside to age it there because it's not ready yet,
Right.
and they won't release it until they feel it's ready to smoke, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, going back to Warped, I know that I want to say that Kyle originally planned to release the GR88 in 2018. I think it was in 2017. It was at IPCPR, and it was about a year late. And it was to Kyle's credit because he didn't feel like it was ready.
There we go.
And
See?
for a manufacturer to be able to just sit on that much inventory just because he wants it to be at its best when it's released is laudable. That's what you want to hear from a company that you're smoking.
Yeah, and I've heard, well, like when Steve Saka came out with the Sober Mesa, right? He was at the IBCPR, and he didn't think it was ready yet, right?
Didn't even have samples. Didn't want anybody to taste it until he thought it was ready.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
another guy who, like, he's not going to fool around.
Right?
If he doesn't think something's ready, he ain't getting it.
Exactly. Yeah, and he's got a bit of the assets or whatever it is to be able to do that too. He's been in the business a long time.
Yes, but also pretty small company. Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, corporately based out of New Hampshire, where I'm from originally, and lives up in New Hampshire now. Making most of his cigars, I believe they're mostly Nicaraguan. So some Dominicans using any Dominican leaf?
I don't know about that. I don't know. I heard something about Connecticut leaf or something like that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think he's a Connecticut Brothers guy. Used to blend for Brew Estates, like Nick Melillo, who now has his own company, Foundation Cigar, which I'm also a big fan of.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lot of boutique cigar companies, really, that we're trying to, and we'll be moving through a lot of those companies and lines as we continue this review series.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's the whole point of rebooting this thing. Is not everybody likes to smoke Cuban cigars. A lot of people like to smoke
Who are those people?
non-Cuban cigars. So, and you know, personally, Paul and I both, we smoke everything. So, and I think, you know, personally, I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb here though, and just say, and this is my own personal opinion, is that I think you need to smoke everything, because if you don't smoke everything, how do you know you're not gonna like or like something that you know, that maybe you hear from word of mouth or whatever it is, and you have contempt prior to investigation. And that's something that I've noticed with people, is that there's a bit of contempt prior to investigation out there, where people, well, that's not good. You know, that what are you doing? That's foolhardy. That's insane to do that, and they don't even try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when you start trying things and venturing out beyond, you know, your one little segment that you really enjoy, you'll find that you'll broaden your horizons, and possibly your palate will change or whatever, and you'll find other things.
Yeah, your palate will definitely change over time. We know a lot of people who start out smoking non-Cuban cigars and then eventually get into either primarily or solely smoking Cuban cigars. I can't imagine ever cutting out non-Cuban cigars entirely. I mean, the quality level is so high.
Yeah.
Dominican tobacco, Nicaraguan tobacco, the other little bits that they choose for binder wrappers here and there from Honduras or Mexico or Cameroon or wherever they're growing them, Connecticut.
Yeah.
There's just there's too many different flavor profiles outside of Cuban to just ignore them and pretend that they don't exist or they're inferior.
Yeah. Well, okay, I was down in Orlando smoking with a friend of mine down in Orlando, and he's really plugged in like you on stuff, and he was saying that they're growing leaf in Vietnam. And he was talking with somebody that was related to the Cuban side of tobacco, and they were saying that the Vietnamese tobacco is actually excellent.
I've heard Vietnamese, I've heard Cambodian. I've also heard that China, a lot of people talk about China in a lot of respects because they've become such an economic powerhouse, is going to be another, in the next 10 years, another major tobacco producer and cigar producer. I've also heard, interestingly, recently from someone who's involved in the Cuban cigar manufacturing process, that they're growing really good Lajero in Panama right now. And I haven't heard of that being used, so perhaps it's still in the experimental stage and they're still trying to figure out, you know, what the relationships, what companies they're going to work with. But maybe seeing, if you haven't already, some Panamanian, really tasty Panamanian Lajero in some Cuban cigars.
So, yeah, broaden your horizons, venture forth, and try all this stuff, because, yeah, I don't know, just getting pigeonholed into one thing, because I know people that will only smoke a Davidoff cigar, or they'll only smoke a Cuban cigar, and, you know, that's fine. I mean, that's why this hobby is what it is, and what people like and everything like that, but I think for us personally, I'm going to put you in that category, that we have been able to find some hidden gems in there by kind of venturing outside of a certain area.
Yeah. And, you know, also just by trying a lot of different stuff, and it's not always good. It's not always to your palate. I smoked a cigar recently, I won't say what it is, but I was not a big fan of it, and it was kind of a big name. But also talking about branching out, I also like it when I'm aware that a cigar producer is smoking the other guy's stuff, right? Not just for like market research or to say, you know, mine's better than theirs, or, you know, what are they doing that I should be doing, but just enjoying it. Like I always see Skip Martin from Rumacraft posting pictures of him, you know, smoking something from Steve Saka, and Saka will chime in with a comment, and it's nice to know that, you know, the kind of communal, familial aspect of cigars extends all the way to the people who are making them.
Yes.
And I had an experience with Kyle actually at IPCPR in New Orleans, where I was smoking a Cuban cigar. We had gotten together as a kind of a smaller group after the show one night. And I was smoking a Cuban cigar, I forgot what it was, but Kyle was walking by and he said, "Oh, someone's smoking a Habano." And I had taken the label off. I know he couldn't see what I was smoking, he didn't know. He just knew it from the smell. So it's just a guy who's clearly spent a lot of time smoking everything and trying to figure out what's good. And I know that some of his profiles, like with some of his earlier cigars, he was kind of going for a Cuban-esque profile. And you know, something like this, definitely not Cuban-esque,
Yeah,
but
it's
super
not.
enjoyable.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of guys, like Pete Johnson started out in LA, right? And
Company still based here, Torrance.
and he was smoking everything in the humidor. And Dion Giolito, another one who he was working at, I think he was working at a tinderbox. I'm sorry,
that's
Dion,
right.
if I got that wrong, but
right.
he was smoking everything in that humidor, and now he has his own line of cigars. But if you go to Reno, to his shop, it's I think it's called Fumari in Reno. He has everything in there. He has his stuff, but he carries everything else as well. So
I look forward to making a pilgrimage there one day. I don't find myself in Reno very often. Did you fly there, by the way, just to go there, or did you happen to be in the area?
So my parents, before my dad died, my mom and dad used to go up to Lake Tahoe every August for like 3 weeks in August, and I would usually drive up there and stay with them. But then I would do my pilgrimage down the mountain into Reno.
Pretty easy to pop. If it's not snowing, easy to pop back down and back up.
So I would, take the road down to Reno, and then pop into Fumari, and I talked with Dion a couple of times. I'm not going to say that I, was, but I talked with him, and he's very quiet, very reserved, and but he knows his stuff. I mean, to this day, the Epernay line of his cigars, to me, the Epernay La Matad, just to me, is just a great cigar.
Super consistent.
It is. It's really consistent, and he's been doing that for, I don't know how many years now, over a decade. He's been doing that cigar, and but he's definitely a nerd too, where he goes into all kinds of different stuff. He was doing the Candela at the time, last time I was there, so, but yeah, it's a great shop.
So regarding that shop, one of the reasons I wanted to kind of go there, not only to perhaps see Dion, but to also just appreciate what it's like when somebody creates a cigar shop that is designed to be a shrine to smoking cigars, the actual smoking experience and the communal experience, rather than like a bar or a place to go watch the game and do something distracting from the smoking experience. Because from what I understand, there aren't any TVs.
No TVs.
He keeps the music down or off, and you're supposed to concentrate on actually talking to another human being and enjoying a cigar.
Absolutely.
Which I think is wonderful.
That is, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, because you go there, you're not going to be able to watch the game. You're not going to have a lot of distractions in there. You're just going to be able to, and I've met a few people in there smoking, because that's what you do. I mean, you're smoking cigars and talking about stuff.
Well, Kyle, might be time to think about a Miami Warped Lounge. I know he's from Miami and rolls still some of his cigars. I think that Don Ronaldo is rolled at
What type?
in Miami to LT Tinta Bronze.
LC10 to bronze, yeah.
Bronze A. I don't know exactly how that's said, but that'd be cool. I'd love
All
to
right,
go
so
down
we're
there.
back, and I'm smoking slow because I'm chatting too much. So I'm going to let Paul take the lead while I'm smoking my cigar.
Yeah, that's how you can tell who's been talking more in the break. And also doing some technical things. So it's not all.
Yeah, reading
Running
up the
off the
difference
mouth.
between. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk. I just pulled the band off the Moon Garden here. I'm going to try to see if the camera will pick this up. Go right up close here. It says by Kyle Gellis, and over on the right it says "Warped, be exclusively different." Their company motto. Hopefully that comes out there. And I want to talk regarding the bands. That recently there was a story. I think it was in Half Wheel. It might have been Cigar Aficionado, one or the other, or both. That there was a story that somebody was counterfeiting, and Kyle found out about it. I think it was the Flor del Valle. It's one of the higher end brands that this is kind of based on. Found some online, and they were counterfeit. I guess the bands looked good enough that the guy was getting away with it. And Kyle, I think it's a French company that he's going with, where he's going to start having his bands made by this company that does anti-counterfeiting measures on the bands, and perhaps on the boxes. Maybe it was on the boxes. It was like a QR code, and there was a barcode, and like 3 different things that are designed to make sure that you're getting an authentic box of warped cigars. Sort of in the same vein as what Habanos is doing. Habanos is a bunch of different things. They've got the barcode on the box. They've got the serial number on the box, which you can put into the Habanos Authenticator, so that to make sure that what comes up on the website is the same thing as the box you're actually looking at. And then, of course, on their bands, particularly with Cohiba, they have holograms and, you know, the Indian within the Indian on the band for Cohiba itself, and now they've got some black light dots that they're starting to put on things, which we saw for the first time on the Talisman in 2017. A weird, interesting thing with the Talisman is, to my knowledge, Habanos didn't let people know ahead of time that they could use a black light and look at the dots on the band and see if it was authentic or not. Which seems weird that you're going to have an anti-counterfeiting measure, but you're not going to tell people that it exists. Like, people just kind of found out about it on their own.
Yeah. Actually, a guy contacted me, does a YouTube channel, Cigar Salute, and he was talking to me about the blue dots in there, and I actually pulled off a Corojo band, and I was able to use the camera under a black light, and you can see the blue dots in there that kind of go up. There's 4 of them, and you can see that in there. It shows fairly well. And then also there's like a serial number on there that shows up in black light as well on that band. So yeah, that was a Cohiba Robusto.
And there's some micro printing on there as well, I think.
Yes, yeah. So he's doing that, something along those lines with his bands.
Right. Yeah, in the future. I don't know when those are going to go into production. Presumably we'll find out when they come out. Bands or boxes. I may be confused on that. But
okay. Yeah. So getting kind of like an herbaceousness and a kind of a sweet cedar in there, like I was talking about, with that baking spice. Very nice though. It's you know, it's not as girthy as what I thought it was going to be though. Actually, you know, in the sense of like that really poppy, peppery. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of that spice in my nose, a little bit, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, the kind of peppery spice that we detected initially on the retrohale has kind of abated a little bit. Part of that could be just that we've been retrohaling this thing like crazy through the whole cigar, so eventually your nose just gets used to that.
Yeah.
But that syrupy, almost like an evergreen type of flavor, along with the herbaceousness, maybe even like a grain or grain alcohol type of flavor.
Yeah.
That really high note that kind of has a little bit of a longer finish on the middle of the tongue also.
They're very good. I mean, and lots of smoke production on this cigar. It's just
oh yeah. If you take a puff around,
yeah.
It's like you're vaping almost.
It is. It pretty much. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like you see people like blowing out these billows of smoke out of their cars.
Yeah. We have a guy who he and his wife come to some of our cigar get-togethers. We got together yesterday, and she smokes pretty much nothing but super primo aged Cuban cigars. And I don't think I've seen him smoke a cigar the last like 4 or 5 times when we've gotten together, because he has this one of those giant big contraptions. And like the most important thing when you get together is just to make sure you sit upwind of him, because otherwise that's all you're going to be smelling is, you know, cotton candy vapor.
Right, or bubble gum.
Right, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And that's something that's because hookah was the big thing, and now it's vaping.
Yeah. Although LA still has a lot of hookah lounges.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to a hookah lounge to smoke a cigar, since they're smoke friendly?
Well, funny that you mentioned that. There's a cigar lounge in Orange County, Bulldog Cigar Lounge.
What is it called?
Bulldog.
Bulldog.
And he started out doing hookah on Main Street in Huntington Beach with cigars. And so he moved over to a different part of Huntington Beach, and he has hookah in there. And they smoke cigars as well with the hookah in there.
Also, State Social House up
Oh,
on
yeah.
Sunset
Yeah.
has hookahs, and they're also cigar friendly. One of the few public places in LA where you can drink and eat and smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Because the restaurant and club is upstairs, and then the downstairs it's indoor-outdoor space because they can open these large sliding doors, and also part of the ceiling kind of retracts to let the smoke out. So when you're down there, even though there are heat lamps and it's all wood and plush seating and everything, and you can order drinks from the full bar, you can order food from upstairs. It's technically an outdoor space, so it's grandfathered in to be able to do that. Where you couldn't open a place like that today, I don't think.
No, you
I don't
couldn't.
think the regulations would allow you to do that.
Yeah, but you can order an adult beverage there for sure. Definitely, and food. Now another place that comes to mind is Buena Vista on Little Santa Monica.
Yeah, cigar bar.
That's a bar, yeah.
Right.
It's got the deer head in there, and it's all wood, and
Yeah. So recently, Beverly Hills passed an ordinance where you're not allowed to sell tobacco products in Beverly Hills, period, except they exempted the 3 existing cigar lounge, which are Buena Vista, the Grand Havana Room, and then, I forget what the third one is.
Nazareth.
Nazareth, that's right.
Nazareth, if you ever go to Beverly Hills, go to Nazareth, because Nazareth, he is a character and a half, and he's been doing this since the 70s, and he's a really great guy, actually. He's a super great guy. Very dry sense of humor, but, and you get a really eclectic group of guys that come in there in the Nazareth.
Where is it in Beverly Hills?
It's on Cannon, and you gotta look for it because it's on Cannon, and there's like a hair salon, and then you gotta go inside, and then there's an Italian restaurant to the left, and his place is just to the right in there on Cannon. It's called Nazareth, though.
We should go in there sometime. I haven't been.
I haven't been there in a long time, but yeah, Nazareth, he's a character. I like Nazareth a lot. So, but yeah, that's the 3 left in Beverly Hills.
What do you think of the Grand Havana Room? Because it's members only.
Yeah.
You can't go in there unless you're a member or a guest of a member.
Mm-hmm.
It's very expensive to become a member.
Mm-hmm.
If you can even get in on the list, there's a waiting list all the time. They do have a full bar. They do have a humidor where you can buy cigars from as well, but most people are smoking out of their locker since they can. They can smoke whatever they put in there. And I remember, the first several years that I lived in LA, I was always chomping at the bit. Grand Havana Room, when am I going to get to go? And I finally made a friend at the V-Cut, who is a member there as well, invited me over for a birthday celebration. And it was a little different than I expected it to be.
I think it's a little long in the tooth.
Yes, I agree
think
with
that. If anybody from the Grand Havana Room is watching, we like your place. I like the fact you go up in an elevator. It's kind of like a speakeasy kind of a feel going up the elevator and going inside.
You have to meet the concierge downstairs
Yes.
before you're allowed up.
Yes, and the food's good there. And I just think that they need to freshen
Yeah.
the place because the furniture's been there for a while and things have been in existence there for quite a long time, and I think they need to freshen it up.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
all.
you expect it if you're going to pay that kind of money and especially have the exclusivity, right? There's a Grand Havana in New York, which I think is going to have to close down. I believe the building is owned by Jared Kushner, and they're forcing the Grand Havana Room out. So they're going to have to either move or, you can't imagine New York not having a Grand Havana Room, so maybe they're going to move somewhere else.
I don't know. I
Something.
haven't heard about that.
But at least for the moment, Grand Havana Room LA not only is going to stay, but is probably in a better space than they were before
Yeah.
as far as the business goes, because now that there's not going to be any competition, you can't open a new cigar lounge in Beverly Hills now.
Yeah, but to get in there, come on.
Yeah,
How are you going to get in,
right.
to be quite honest? So, you got the Buena Vista and Nazareth that are left there, and that's
Public.
it. Yeah, Republic, yeah.
Does Nazareth have, they don't have alcohol, it's just a smoking lounge.
Just a smoking lounge. And I believe his is membership too. Now, there might be some sort of a drop-in thing that he
Spend
charges
$50
now.
on cigars and you can smoke
Yeah,
there
I
for the
don't
day.
know. I don't know, because I know Nazareth, and I was able to go before he had the lounge and then a little area where he sold cigars, but that was taken over by the hair salon. So he's just got that one place now. But I used to go in there all the time and smoke, and I wasn't a member, but I knew Nazareth. So I don't know about that place either. So Buena Vista for sure, you can go in there. And they charge either a cutting fee or you can buy cigars there and smoke and get an adult beverage or a non-adult beverage there. That place, you know. But as far as it goes, Lone Wolf.
Good mention.
Yeah, Lone Wolf.
Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Or technically Brentwood, I guess.
Yeah,
There's
it's
that little area where Brentwood kind of encroaches south into Santa Monica, and then it's Santa Monica again.
yeah, exactly. It's off of I think Brockton or Broxton.
And Wilshire.
Brockton and Wilshire, and he's got like a little seating area in the front. It's private, but you can buy a cigar and then sit in the front and
In the retail area.
in the retail area and smoke. It's very tiny. There's like a table with a few chairs, and that's about it. And then the lounge in the back, it's very big. Plenty of seating in there. It's got the old style leather chairs and stuff in there. with
It's
the
a
lockers.
beautiful space.
It is.
Super high ceilings. What, 30-foot ceilings? Something
Yeah,
like that?
really high ceilings in there. David Weiss is the owner of Lone Wolf, and I've had a few conversations with David, and David is another interesting character.
Yep. Easy to talk to.
Yes, very easy and very knowledgeable on cigars, and yeah, I like popping in there every now and then when David's there and just talking to him.
And one of the bigger, if you're a Davidoff person, which I'm not so much, there is a few that I really like, but bigger Davidoff distributor though.
Yeah, and he stays more with the mainline stuff because of the FDA thing that came out in talking to him. He's just staying a lot more with the stuff that
Established.
is established. Yeah, good. And but he does have some boutique things in there that he runs in and out of there frequently. But you're going to get more mainline stuff like Davidoff and Fuente and Padron, and I think Rocky Patel is in there. And then like a lot of the like Altadis or general stuff like the Monte Cristo and Romeo stuff that he'll have there too. So, and the humidor is nice. I mean, you go in there, it's this really long humidor with everything in there, and it takes a little bit of a time to pick something out because he does have a good selection in there.
I did find some of the special edition Casa Cuba cigar from Puente that came in that were just in there on the shelf, and they were like 15, 16 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, speaking of his knowledge on cigars, when I walked out with that and one other thing that I was buying, I think the other thing was either a saber tooth or a black Irish that he had on the shelf from Romacraft. And he saw the two that I had picked out of his thing, and he was like, "Okay, you know what you're looking for, because these are two things that just you can't find on any given shelf, just
Right.
sitting there ready to purchase their special edition cigars."
Yeah. Well, this guy, you're like, I don't know, man.
Me?
Yeah, you. This guy.
Oh, can't wait to hear this.
Well, no, but like, you, like, just come up with things, like, it's crazy how you find things, you know, because you're rooting around on the internet and in lounges, you know, shops or whatever it is, and he'll find something, you know, like all over the country too, not just in LA, but all over the place. And it's really great to, you know, sit down with you and talk, and you know, you say, I got this and that and everything like that, and then like you just don't pay a lot of money for stuff either. You get the, like I'm like paying a shit ton of money for this stuff, and it's like, oh, I got that for like, you know, a song. You know, it's just great.
Says the guy who found our Le Carêmes in the bargain bin for $8.
Well, I mean, I walked in there and I just said, what would Paul do? So, yeah.
Yeah, what's that box in the corner that's completely disheveled?
Yeah.
Dig through there a little bit.
Exactly. Well, you know, Maxmar, you can do that too. They got so much stuff.
Maximar is
Yeah.
basically like the Pandora's box of cigars.
Yeah.
They have everything. It's huge. Small Batch Cigar online is also out of Maximar.
Yep.
They've got a great setup over there, by the way. They have a post office right next door,
Yep.
which is why one of the reasons Small Batch is so good on the customer service, because they will just, after you put in your order, you know, via their email server, they'll just package it up and immediately send it out to you.
Yep.
With a Boveda pack, and it's great.
Yeah.
But their humidor is cavernous. Like, and
Yeah.
you really, like, if you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
see the cool new stuff, it's right there up front as you walk in. But if you want to find something that you haven't smoked in 10 years, you can go in there and you can find it if you look on the right shelf on the right day.
Well, yeah, or digging there. Yeah.
Yep.
Me and a friend of mine were in there one day, and the La Aurora, the ones with the original release from what I think 2003. And we were rooting around in there. We found the Bellicoso in there, and there was like full boxes of this stuff sealed up. I think we got those for like $8 a stick.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I think originally they were released like $20 a stick or something like that, and you know, oh yeah, that was like whatever, $200 for the box. So you could, yeah, it's a good place to go and just kind of root around the humidor and find stuff.
When the last Czar debuted from Caldwell, Robert was over there. Robert and Jeremy doing an event. That was the first time I smoked the last Czar.
Well, Jeremy used to work there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The California hillbilly.
Yeah, Jeremy used to work there, and so then he hooked up with Robert, and yeah, so that guy, he's a pretty interesting cat.
Oh, he's great.
He really is. He is. Yeah, we saw them at V-Cup when they were there.
That's right.
So anyway, so yeah, just you know, sometimes it pays just to like kind of look in there and.
Well, you know, you fly around a lot. You're visiting other cities all the time. We were just talking about you're going to Chicago and Orlando.
Yeah.
Great places to smoke there.
Yeah.
But like as a cigar nerd, how can you not, if you have a little time, go and find the local places, the local shops and lounges, and see what they're about?
Yeah.
You hear about them from other people. People come to LA as tourists a lot and move here from other places, and you hear about these places or hear about them online, and you want to check them out yourself.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Biggs or E1 Reese in Chicago, both of which are on my list if I ever go there again. I have been to Corona, which we were just talking about during our off-break smoking time in Orlando, which is enormous.
Yeah.
It's the biggest humidor, if you can call it that I've ever been in, because the whole place is huge and shelf after shelf after shelf. If you can't find it there, it's unlikely it exists, right?
Yeah.
But it's all humidor. The whole place is humidified.
Well, the Davidoff shop in Tampa is the same way.
Which I haven't been to. It's relatively new, but I heard it's super swanky.
Oh man, that place, it's one big humidor like that. Same thing, you like got the cigars on one side, and it's like a frickin' warehouse.
Yeah.
And then
Kind of a clubby atmosphere too, right?
bar. Yeah, they got a bar and everything like that, and I believe there you can get food somehow. But it's very swanky, very Davidoff-ish, you know, with its cleanliness and a bit of a sterility there. But yeah, it's just massive. It's bigger than Corona. Bigger than Corona, but Corona's huge. It's yeah. I mean, I went my first time this month. In the beginning of the month, I went to Corona and was there, and yeah, they have if you got
Oh yeah.
the cash.
You found the vintage cigar case.
Yeah, if you've got the cash.
The only case in the whole place, I think.
Yeah, it's a case, and you can go there, and if you really, really want to smoke a pre-embargo Cuban cigar, they have a couple shelves of various boxes of Cuban pre-embargo cigars that you can smoke, and the prices are a little high. Anywhere between...
They're not 1960s prices?
No. No. They're like $200 up to whatever. I mean, they just got some Ramon Rillon pre-embargoes, and I think we were going for about $600 a stick.
Ouch.
So, but if you have the cash to burn, that's a place you can go and get a pre-embargo. There's a place up in San Francisco that does that too. I can't remember. I think it's in the Fairmont, if I'm not mistaken. They do pre-embargo as well there.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
And at French Laundry,
Yeah,
the
that's
Thomas
right.
Keller restaurant up there, they have a pre-embargo cigar menu that they will give you if you want to go outside and smoke after your, $500 meal.
Kind of like that treehouse.
Yeah, I recently went to a resort in Tulum called Azulik, which is just an incredible design, and smoked outside in this nest, this wooden nest that kind of sits above the jungle canopy. And they have cigar ashtrays. If you want to smoke out there, it's quite an experience.
You posted that on Instagram, right?
On Instagram, at LA Cigar Guy.
LA_cigar.
LA_cigar. Yeah, there's an imposter out there. I forget what his
Yeah, I
his
think it's
handle
LA
is.
Cigar Guy.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. But yeah, LA_cigar guy on Instagram. you can check it out, and they're like sitting in this like booth, wooden booth up above, and you can see the trees for miles out there.
It's amazing. Bring your wallet.
I was gonna say, yeah. So if you're gonna go to Corona and smoke the Pre-Am bar, just run down to Tulum,
Yeah, right.
and you'll have a really good time.
Catch a quick flight to Cancun. Oh, by the way, Cancun, I found out recently, was the first La Casa del Habano in the world.
It what?
Yeah. I've never been to it because I've never actually spent time in the city of Cancun. I've flown through there a couple of times, but yeah, first one.
I haven't been to Cancun since the 90s. And I went to a cigar shop there. It was like in like the old town part of Cancun. They had a cigar shop there, and picked up an Escondido way back. This is probably like going well over 20 years ago.
Nice cigar.
Yeah, I mean the thing is though, is it was really I was smoking it, and there was so much moisture in the air that it just really, I mean, probably had like 85-90% humidity on the cigar.
But that's what it's like smoking in Cuba. As I believe Hamlet famously said, the whole fucking country is a humidor of Cuba. So,
Yeah,
just like
definitely.
that.
Back to this thing. Good cigar.
Yeah. What do you think? Medium plus on the body?
Yeah, medium
I
plus.
expected with the potentially medio tempo in there that might be a little more girthy
Yeah.
on the body, but medium plus.
But you know, I mean, it was really fairly well balanced on this cigar though.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Nicely focused flavor.
Yeah, and you know, like picking up, you know, it's not going to be a sweet cigar. It's not going to be something like that. It's going to be more herbaceous, woody. I caught some leather in there, so it's going to be more of kind of an herby cigar. But like I said, I got that kind of a scotchy woodiness in there with the herbaceousness.
What do you think about pairing, alcohol pairing with this? I'll leave that one to you.
An alcohol pairing on this cigar would be, oh God. I mean, you might be able to get away with a scotch on this thing, maybe. But I mean, personally, champagne is always good to go with a cigar. And cigars can be kind of alkaline on the palate. So you want to drink something that's going to balance your palate back out, that's going to be acidic. That's why I drink like a Coke Zero when I'm reviewing a cigar, because it's very acidic. On the it's some type of acid or whatever it is that kind of balances the palate out. So I would say champagne would probably be a good thing. I know you bourbon drinkers out there, but bourbon and scotch and more of the whiskeys and stuff like that have a tendency to kind of drown out things on the palate because you get that alcohol on there. So for me, I would think if you really want to, I guess, experience the full effect on this, would be more of a champagne on this thing, or maybe even a port. But a port is going to be sweeter, so you might have that more of that contrast of the sweet with the herb in there. It might help out.
Yeah, I think on a non-alcohol pairing, you're looking at kind of a straight up, soda, Perrier, mineral water type thing.
Yeah, bubbly water, yeah. You were talking about on that, yeah, as well, definitely, on this cigar. But plenty of smoke production, I mean...
Oh yeah, construction is just great.
Yeah, like we were saying in the beginning, with a Cuban you might be a bit scared smoking a cigar that's this packed and this tight and this, but this cigar just smoked like a dream, definitely.
Well, my box is empty now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, thank you,
That's
sir.
it. So these are the last two. But if you can find some of these out there, we'd say yes. Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up on this cigar, definitely, to get to smoke this cigar.
You want to do a 10-point rating?
I think we should just do thumbs up or thumbs down or thumbs in the middle. What do you think?
Oh, definitely thumbs up on this one.
Yeah, I think we should go with that from now on. Just give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down or in the middle kind of a thing. I think yeah. And your mileage may vary. You may smoke this thing and say, yeah, what the hell were you guys talking about, you knuckleheads?
Everybody's palate's different.
We're all like diamonds. We have many facets.
So cheesy.
What can I say? What can I say? So, anyway, we're saying 2 thumbs up on this cigar. Definitely something to find, source somehow, and smoke.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, it's been a long video, but hopefully you were able to smoke a cigar while watching this. And till the next time, we'll see you later.